What should you do with an old 401k? It's estimated that there's over $1.6 trillion in forgotten about 401ks out there. And this is defined by people that have left their job and still have their 401k at their old job's plan. And if you own one of the more than 29 million forgotten about 401k accounts out there, you really have 4 options on what you can do to remedy this problem. Now, in reality, 3 of these options are viable and 1 is really not recommended. So let's go ahead and start with the one that you probably shouldn't do. So number 1 is you can just cash out your old 401k and have it distributed to you. Now, this generally isn't recommended because not only are you likely going to have to pay income tax on the distributions, depending on if you put it in as traditional or Roth contributions, but you're also going to have to pay a 10% penalty if you're younger than the age of 59 and a half, unless you meet one of the exception criterias for that. So unless you want to lose a large chunk of your 401k, it's probably not a good idea to just cash out the old plan and just try to pocket the cash and run. So that leaves us with the other 3 options. You can either leave it in the old 401k plan and keep just having it managed through there, roll it into your new 401k, or roll that old 401k into an IRA. Now, these 3 options do have pros and cons. If you decide you want to leave your money at your old employer's 401k, that is a potential option, but depending on the plan, you could get hit with some potential negatives. The biggest negative is that if you are not paying attention, this is very easy to forget about. Out of sight, out of mind, which is why there's over $1.6 trillion in forgotten about 401ks out there. The other disadvantage is that some plans make it so that if you are inactive for long enough, they make it so that your balance is no longer invested in any of the fund options, it gets turned into cash. So let's talk about rolling it out into either your new 401k or an IRA. So the first thing you need to figure out is the process for rolling your money out, because every plan sponsor is different and every custodian that custodies those funds has different processes as well. And once you've got that figured out, then you need to figure out what amount of the money in the 401k is traditional and what's Roth. You'll also see it listed as pre-tax for traditional and post-tax for Roth. Now, this is important because you can't mix traditional and Roth contributions into the same account when you roll it out. If you try to do that, some plans won't let you do that at all. They won't distribute the money if it's going into the wrong type of account. But if the plan does allow you to do that, for instance, if you're trying to take traditional money that you haven't paid tax on yet and put it into Roth, which are post-tax, meaning you have paid tax, you could be potentially triggering a taxable event for yourself where you're going to owe income tax. So you want to try to avoid any sort of thing like that happening. Now, once you've got those account balances figured out, you need to go ahead and set the infrastructure in your new 401k or your IRA so that it can receive the funds from your old 401k. Now, the thing you need to figure out if you're rolling it into your new 401k is, do they allow for Roth contributions? Do they have a Roth account option? Because if you had Roth contributions in your old 401k, you're not going to be able to roll those monies into your new employer's 401k because they just don't have the account type to be able to take that. And if you've decided to roll it into an IRA, you're then going to have to obviously have those accounts established before you can roll the money out of the old 401k into the IRA. So that means either setting up a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, or both, depending on your situation. Now, once the money's rolled out of your old 401k into the new vehicle, either your new 401k or your IRAs, you then need to make sure that you are investing the money, because in general, the money coming out of your old 401k is coming as cash. It's not coming as shares of X, Y, or Z fund. So you're going to need to make sure it gets invested in the new account. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have some pretty significant cash drag in your retirement accounts. So you're not going to be able to take advantage of all the growth potential that you have with your total account balance. What do you think would be the type of thing you'd prefer to do if you had to roll out an old 401k? Would you want to put it into your new employer's 401k or an IRA?